You are listening to audio from the Decidedly podcast. This episode is a highlight clip from this week's full episode. To listen in on the complete conversation, see the show notes for the link to the complete show. You can help us out by leaving us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate every bit of your support. I'm Morgan McKittrick, your producer, and this is Decidedly.
I was going to be an English teacher, and then I went to economics class and became a financial advisor, which sounds like it's totally different. And it is totally different, but it's very similar in that
Core
component.
Values.
I'm showing, I'm giving people knowledge and wisdom and allowing them to explore and understand for themselves. And that's what I really like more than the numbers.
You know, that you were talking about the values part, and I had never put it that way. I think intuitively I realized there were two different, levels of values, the conscious and the subconscious, as you were talking about. And, Sanger and I both go through processes with clients where we sort of discover what their values are. And one of the ways that I've historically sort of dug to that second level is by just questioning, just asking the questions. Okay, you've said philanthropy is one of your values. Tell me about that. In other words, is that being manifest in their life? Are there actions that are demonstrating that this is a value that they are really engaged with? Or is it just something that they feel like they ought to say? And so then we go through and look at, well, if it's not something that you're engaged in, yet you're still saying it's one of your values, how do we find a way for this value to express itself? And I can sort of see if there's energy around taking those actions to allow that value to manifest itself. And if there isn't, then what I've sort of realized is that it's not one of the values that's really making the cut.
Yeah.
And to put it in your vernacular, it's not one of those subconscious values, which I really like. I'm gonna start using that. But it's when you look at decision making, are you seeing that there are decisions that people struggle with more than not if they haven't sort of discovered what these conscious and unconscious values really are for themselves? Are you finding there are harder decisions that they have to make?
Yes, it's because if you don't know your core values and your gifts and you're choosing from a variety of things, how do you choose which path to take? It's like you have unlimited amount, let's say 500 paths to take. And because there is no compass, basically your core values are a compass that guides you which way to go. And then even then, there will be at least like 50 other choices. And then you need to ask yourself a question, why? So people who don't know their gifts, their core values, their purpose, they're lost in the forest. And they basically, where do I go? What do I do? And if they go, and if they start on a wrong path, like for example, you are a lucky one because your father showed you the way, and this way appeared to be your way. But imagine a different situation if it's not your way, but you already know a lot, and you're going through it, but you're suffering, you don't really want to do it, but you're kind of pushing it through. And what happens, now you don't know your core values, you're on the wrong path. You use your willpower that runs out at some point.
Yeah.
And you're pushing through, and you're far enough in your life that you don't want to change it because it's great income, but I hate myself and I hate everyone else.
And now I got a mortgage and kids and a complicated situation.
And you're stuck in it.
Yeah. And people get stuck really easily.
A heart that acts like a liver and appears to be closer to the ass.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's what people have to stand in front of a mirror and say, hey, here's what I am. I've taken a wrong path. Now I need to figure out who I am and take the right path. But the problem is that by that time, everyone around you expects you to be the same kind of a person. And it takes a lot of courage, spiritual power, and mental fitness and emotional fitness to make this decision for yourself, to accept that you've made a huge mistake by pretending to be someone you have never been.
Now, how do you think do you think people make a different type of mistake when they're deciding who they are? What I see a lot, particularly in the last 20 years of our culture, is it seems like, and I don't know, I wasn't around 40 years ago, but it seems like people talk more about this topic than before, right? It seems like a fresher idea. And the fact that we're talking about it right now, I guess, proves the point. But there's this wave of, hey, be your authentic self, be your true self. Not everyone's going to phrase it the way that we're talking about it and relate it to core values or decision making. But there is this idea out there in this narrative, hey, be yourself. And I see a lot of people interpret that in a way that to me doesn't seem like the way that we're interpreting it. What we're saying is find what actually really matters to you, not what should matter to you. Find what matters to you, find what your gifts are, find what your talents are, and do that. And are there any other mistakes that people are making from your point of view other than simply not doing that well enough?
Yeah, it's when they actually do it, but it take it to the wrong level. For example, if I know that my core value is unconditional love, and I know that my core value is support, and I know that my core value is spirituality, I can go to Nepal and just sit and be a monk. Or I can go to Bali and say that I'm transcendent, I transcended this and that, which is not going to be true. Some people don't realize that the gifts is not something that you're going to give. Unconditional love, it's not something that I will get. It's something that I should give to others. Support, it's not something that I will get. It's something that I should give to others. It's not about me, it's about community. When you take your core values, you turn them around into gifts, and gifts are to be given.
I love that. I love that so much, Natalia. I was just talking today about the difference between success and significance. And they sound similar, right? Sort of. If you don't spend much time thinking about either word, they seem like almost the same thing. And what the conclusion that I drew with that is that success is inwardly focused and significance is outwardly focused. And I think that you've just made this so much clearer for me, which is that people who attempt to live in alignment with their values, who are still focused inwardly with those values, are ultimately going to feel unfulfilled. If they can, the value, the things that are important to us make us who we are. But we're not designed or created to get our own pleasure and joy for ourselves. We're designed to express those values to others and give them as gifts. And that's beautiful. And that's so much more meaningful and so much more significant. I mean, even in like a gift of, oh, my value is family, right? A simple one that's pretty common. Well, it's not so I can feel good about having my family around. And if that's how I treat it, they're not going to be around very much. They're not going to really want to be around me. I'm not going to have a great family, a well-connected family. I'm not going to have meaningful relationships within the family. But if my value of family means, oh, I have to give to my family because they matter to me, I do things for them, that changes it entirely.
We're all interdependent. We're all getting so much from everyone else. For example, somebody created this platform for us to get the interview. We didn't code it in order to have this interview, right? We just got it as a gift from somebody who have already done it. Yes, we pay for it, but we don't pay as much as it costed for them to create it and to come up with the idea. We have our headphones. They've been created by somebody. but they're helping us to have this good communication and hear each other and speak to each other. We have clothes that it's on us. Some people in China have been making them for us, partially as a gift, because we're never gonna pay for this as much as it actually costs. Because if you need to plant cotton, wait for it to grow, create some clothes, imagine how many years it would take us to be here and to talk to each other using all the computers, all the stuff, the light, the electricity, everything. It's a gift. It's a gift that has been turned into somebody's work that we benefit from. And everything around us are gifts.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thanks for making the great decision to listen in to this week's episode highlight. If you want more of what you just heard, see the show notes for the full episode. As always, for the latest decision-making tips, find us on decidedlypodcast.com or on Instagram @decidedlypodcast. And be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter from the link in the show notes. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review as well. We read all of your comments, so if you learned some decision-making tips today, let us know. Until next time, this is Decidedly. Insights, advice, and comments provided by Sean Smith, Sanger Smith, and speakers identified as part of the Decidedly podcast should not be considered recommendations. Speakers who are not identified as members of Decidedly are expressing their own opinion, and their statements should not be construed as reflecting the views of the Decidedly team. This podcast is produced solely for informational purposes, not personalized advice.